Alright now, alright. I'm gonna sound like Matthew McConaughey. I don't know why, but this is what I decided I wanted to do. I just had this crazy rainstorm. It just started raining outside. And I thought, I want to go out there and go for a walk in the rain. Because I'm just crazy. I do crazy things like this. I don't know why. I just get like a thought in my head. Yeah, do that. That's a good idea. Do that. And then I go and I do crazy things. Hopefully I have enough storage on this video to make the video that I want to make. So here's the video that I want to make. This is going to be one of my walk withs. And I want you guys to walk with me. It's funny, I'm walking. Take a walk with me in the rain. And I'm just going to go through like a bunch of stages of my life, or a very quick overview of what I did at this age, what I did at that age, and hopefully in other walk with videos, I'll be able to delve into that. Okay, so I grew up in Youngstown, Ohio. I don't really remember too much of when I was young. Kind of just when I started getting into video games, I was hanging out with a kid named Joe Gilbo. He was a really bad influence. He ended up like ODing later in life, maybe when he was like 24. So lucky that I got away from him. But in elementary school, I remember I was like the coolest kid, or like the top kid at the school. And then this kid, Ricky Weimer, moved in, and he started going to Taft from, I think he was from like Springfield or something like that. And he took my little girlfriend. Her name was Cassie Wire, first girl I ever kissed. Oh my goodness, I was so mad because I wasn't like, the coolest kid at the school anymore. So then I was hanging out with Joe Gilbo and Nick Kremen, Troy Sutton. That was like our little team. We'd always be playing video games and riding our bikes around the block. Oh, it's actually starting to pick up, the rain. But I kind of got away from Joe Gilbo when, I don't know, my mom knew I was going to start getting in trouble. I think I got caught in a school bathroom in like the 7th, it was in the 8th grade. Because I got expelled earlier that year. In the 8th grade, I got expelled. Also later in life, I got arrested during high school graduation. This is the kind of guy you're dealing with here. Anyways, got busted in the school bathroom in the 8th grade with some kid that I was hanging out with, and he ended up having like fake weed on him or something. So I got put in like a drug rehab program, even though at that point I had never smoked pot in my life, but I was hanging out with bad kids. So my aunt and uncle, who was my mom's brother, they realized like, Matt's gonna start hanging out with the wrong people here. It's gonna end up, I got a hole in this fucking thing here somewhere. But so they were like, okay, Matt's gonna get in trouble. So my uncle started to let me hang out with him. He was letting me kind of smoke pot with him and stuff like that. So it kind of that was the incentive to get away from the little group of knuckleheads I was hanging out with. Grew my dreads out, started hanging out with Kevin and Tracy and all my aunt and uncle's friends. We were going to a lot of weekend concert festivals at this place called Nelson's Ledges, Corey Park and LQP. And then, that was pretty much through when I got to junior year in high school. I got my car, my license, went out to, I transferred from Woodrow Wilson High School to MCCTC, the Mahoning County Something and Technical Center. Vocational school, whatever. And out there, I started hanging out with, was it like Adam Pichitino, Dustin Lasco, Zach Van Brock, and all these guys. I kind of got away from my aunt and uncle, did the hippie thing for a while. I still had my dreads at that time. And I ended up cutting off my dreads. So I was a virgin until after I graduated high school. And we were out at the, Danny Jones, I can't forget that name. Anthony Malloy, I can't forget that name. Mark Allison, I can't forget that name. Adam Altiro, I can't forget that name. Anyways, it was the summer after I graduated high school, or maybe like the spring, and I met this girl. I was from the south side of the city, so I was always like this, rough city kid, dreadlocks, little knucklehead. And out at the Hot Rod Supernationals, I meet this girl from a rich neighborhood. She's like some doctor's daughter, and she's about to graduate high school from like the premier high school in the area, Poland. So I start dating this girl, Carrie. It was like, the bad kid from the city and the good girl from the suburbs. And started dating her. She gave me the motivation to want to go to Ohio State because she was about to move off to go to St. Mary's, which is the all-girl college across the street from Notre Dame. So I cut off my dreads at age maybe 20 after Carrie and I broke up. So we were in this like long distance relationship. Like the first summer before she left for college was golden. And then she left for college, long distance thing, it got tough. So we separated. I cut my dreads off before I started dating this girl, Erica. Erica Jackson was my rebound. But anyways, Carrie, that was the one that I let get away. That was the one that I fucked up with. To this day, I regret shitting the bed on that one. You live and you learn, right? So then what happened? I started going to Ohio State. I actually went back to Youngstown State for like 2 years because what happened, I went into Ohio State Agricultural Technical Institute, which was the branch campus of Ohio State in Worcester. And my mom paid for one semester, and then she was like, you know what, I can't pay for your college anymore. So I went back to Youngstown State, got good enough grades for 2 or 3 years there that I was able to transfer down to main campus of Ohio State. Holy cow, that was a party. The whole reason I wanted to go to college was because I grew up in high school watching a movie on Comedy Central, come on every Friday night, called PCU, Jeremy Piven. And that movie set the tone when I was in my teenage years of what I thought high school was going to be. And boy, oh boy, did Ohio State deliver on that. College ended up being everything that I had hoped it was going to be. And I moved out to Chicago after I graduated. Actually, for 6 months after I graduated, I went down to Portsmouth, Ohio, which was like OxyContin City. Excuse me. So that's another part of my life that I might want to cover in another walk with, is just this that I made it through the opioid epidemic. I partook a little bit on my own, and thank goodness so, because you guys will hear about it. You'll hear it's going to be like this whole lost generation thing that's in the history books of people that got addicted to OxyContins and ended up doing heroin because they wouldn't give out the pills no more. It's a whole fucked up situation with these drug companies. But anyways, so when I moved out to Chicago after the internship that I did at Shawnee National Forest, Shawnee State Park, something like that, in Portsmouth, Ohio, I ended up getting recruited by Davy Tree, moved out to Chicago for 4 years, fall in love with this girl while I'm living out there. I moved out to Chicago because I knew a guy named Doug and Rachel, people I knew from Ohio State that had moved out to college after they graduated. So had a little bit of a support system there, moved out there, started working with Davy Tree, climbing trees, just learning to be a badass, in general. A guy out there who taught me a lot of work ethic was Osmar Mejia. I had a few, kind of father figures during this period of my life. Going back to the internship at Shawnee State Forest, there was the father of the hills. His name was Steve. What's his last name? Steve something. He was a badass log cabin builder. And I met him. Steve, what the hell was his last name? My roommate down there was Dave Benninger. We had Brett Ehlert. He was a Yeti. we believe, and he was on our team, and then we had this other guy on our team who we went hunting with. What was his name? He was over in southeastern Ohio. We went on a hunting trip with this guy. What was it? Doesn't matter. But anyways, the father of the hills in Portsmouth, Osmar Mejia in Chicago. Some of these people, they're just the father figures that I looked up to. You know, people I tried to learn as much as possible from while I was growing up and going through these periods of tremendous change in my life. So anyways, I was out there climbing trees in Chicago. Boy, I lived in Chicago. So letting go of Carrie Van Blarchik, shitting the bed on, you know, the rich girl from the suburbs, and leaving Chicago to move to Florida, where I am currently with, you know, my ex. Her parents live here, and she's got basically her whole family except for one sister that still lives in Chicago. That's why I'm in Florida. So those are the two major, you know, mistakes of my life. The two main fuck-ups. But anyways, so I fall in love while I'm out in Chicago. It was this, like, great time in my life, you know, like, I was a city kid who grew up in Youngstown, Ohio. I moved to a slightly bigger city in Columbus, Ohio, and that was a step up. And then I moved to, you know, a real, like, they call it the second city, second American city behind New York City. So, you know, to move from Youngstown to Columbus to Chicago, I mean, I was always a city kid. It was just like, you know, steps on the ladder. And now here I am in Fort Myers, Florida. But anyways, it was cool when I was out in Chicago that I fell in love, and, you know, everything that kind of comes along with that. You know, it was really like the first time, like, I'd been living on my own through college and, you know, in Portsmouth. I never moved back home after I left for college in 2006, the summer of 2006. I got a picture of me and my mom kind of like standing in the street in front of the U-Haul truck. I was pulling my white Oldsmobile Alero down to Columbus. But anyways, I haven't lived at home since 2006, but that time when I was in college and then out in Chicago, it really felt like, you know, this period of change and transition where I was like really starting to get my shit together, you know, being able to pay all my own bills. My mom died while I was living out in Chicago on December 10th, 2012. You know, so it's a rough period in your life anytime something like that happens. And for me, it's funny how I went through this whole transition from like one family to another, right? So my family growing up was my brother, my mom, her parents, Gina and Millie, and my uncle Jim. I don't know how I haven't mentioned, I did mention it, that I was going to festivals and grew my little hippie dreads out because of him. I called him Uncle Jim all the time. I never just called him Jim. And he goes, "Why are you always calling me Uncool Jim?" I'm not uncool, man. I'm calling you, okay, you got me. So, Uncool Jim. That's the backstory there. But he's the only one from that whole portion of the family that's left alive right now, because it's me and my brother are still alive. But between 2007 and 2012, my grandfather died first in October of 2007. Millie died in, I don't want to say, like, I don't know. I gotta look. That's embarrassing. That's a shame that I don't know the day Millie passed. Her birthday, though, was April 19th, which it was kind of a sign for me when I started dating Gina out in Chicago, because Gina's birthday also was April 19th. So that was kind of a sign, you know. And I got 2 kids with her now. Things didn't work out, but, you know. And I'm even going through all this stuff right now. I haven't seen my kids in 2 months, but, you know, even everything we're going through right now, there's always that part of me that, look, you fuck with her, I gotta fuck you up. And she's the mother of my kids, and I'm always gonna protect my kids. But anyways, so yeah, then I moved out to Chicago, fell in love, and the reason we moved down to Florida in 2014, she was 8 months pregnant when we moved here. was because it was just a wretched winter in Chicago. Both of us hated. I was climbing trees at the time. We had to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, go out to the car, dig it out of the snow, get it going so it's warm by the time I get inside. And you know, it was just rough climbing. You got a layer of ice on the top of each, you know, limb of when you're climbing trees in the wintertime. Boy, you got to have these like little spikes on the bottom of your feet. It's rough. I hated it. So we said, all right, let's get the hell out of here. You got family in Florida. I applied for a job in Florida at the time. I actually got hired after like 2 or 3 phone interviews with that company. So, you know, it just kind of seemed like all the stars, everything was aligned, saying like move to Florida. And it's funny because now that I'm here, like my mom, who passed away in 2012, she loved the ocean. We used to always go to Ocean City, Maryland for our vacation. Like maybe once every 4 or 5 years, you know, we'd be able to save up to go for, and that was actually, I remember we went one year when I was 16, and I only had my permit at that time, and she knew I was hanging out with my uncle, like smoking pot already at that time. So we were on vacation in Ocean City, Maryland, and she knew that I had like smoked at the hotel room, and she's got a ride in the car with me. We were like, I just remember everywhere that we went, she was like, you know, holding on to the door and wishing she had that like brake on her side of the car, like in the driver's training cars. But so my whole family passed away. Anyways, getting back to it, my whole family passed away between 07 and 12, and that was why I was like, oh man, you know, all these stars are aligning, saying go to Florida, start your family with this girl. You know, her family is down there, no more winter, Sunshine State. You're about to have your first son, Isaiah. And I ended up having one more down here. That'll be another story that I'll get into, another breakdown of just everything that happened with Gina and I. But it's funny to think that with Carrie and with Gina, they were both kind of like the same situation where it was like this devil man and this angel woman, and like opposites attracted, you know. And I've dated out of my league. I have dated, and that's the one good thing I can admit. You know, somehow I convince these women, you know, that I'm like something more than I am, and I always date up, you know. I date out of my league. So but that's it. I just got back home. Thank you for walking with me.